the last game we got to talk about. We got USC traveling to Eugene to take on Oregon. It's really hard to win at Autzen Stadium. All right. And USC is a 16.5-point underdog going into this game. Now, many people believe that Oregon is going to beat the shit out of USC. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying Oregon is going to lose, but all I'm saying is that as long as USC can protect Caleb Williams and that offensive line can hold up, I don't think Oregon's defense is going to shut out USC. Okay, Oregon's defense is pretty good, but USC's offense is still one of the best in college football, as we saw last week when they played against Washington. And as long as you have Caleb Williams, you always have a chance to win. Okay, I'm never going to count out USC with them having Caleb Williams at quarterback. Oregon has Bo Nix at quarterback. And I do believe that this is going to be a high-scoring affair. The question is, can USC's defense get some stops? Because against Washington, if you was a Trojans fan, you were just praying with your fingers crossed, please just give us a stop, please. Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley, they were looking at Alex Grinch like, bro, can your defense stop a nosebleed? If USC's defense can get a couple of stops in this game, this is a game that could go either way. But can you really expect that to happen? Yes, you did finally move on from Alex Grinch, but whoever's calling the plays defensively, there's only so many changes you can make because you just can't change the scheme this late into the season. And the play calling, yeah, that might improve, but overall, is the defense just going to perform at a way better level? I doubt that firing Alex Grinch is going to make USC's defense all of a sudden play all world. USC, they don't need to get a lot of stops to win this game, but you at least need to get at least 4 or 5 big ones and big moments and get the ball back to your offense in the fourth quarter, which I doubt USC is going to have the ability to do. Oregon's offense, their offensive line is stout. Their rushing attack with Bucky Irving is stout. Bo Nix has been lights out all season long. Oregon, defensively, you trust them to get way more stops in this game than USC's defense. And USC's defense, at most, they may get 2 or 3 stops. And are those 2 or 3 stops going to be enough for them to win this game? I don't know. Their offensive line hasn't really been that great this year. Oregon's defensive line looks really formidable. Their secondary has looked pretty good, but USC has a lot of talent at wide receiver. And I just have a hard time seeing this game go in direction of a blowout with how much talent USC has offensively. If this is a blowout, if anything, it's going to be a high-scoring blowout. Either Oregon wins this thing 70-56, or Oregon's winning this thing 63-54. I don't think Oregon's going to come into this game just because they're playing at home and they're just going to roll USC up in the blunt and smoke them. I would be really surprised if Oregon wins this game like 42-7 or 42-14. You may go back and you look at Caleb Williams' performance against Notre Dame and you say, well, JT struggled in that game. How many games are you going to see Caleb Williams throw 3 interceptions? Oregon has a really good defense. They got a better defense than Washington. And that's not even a discussion right now. But I don't think Oregon's defense is all world to the point where they're going to be good enough to pitch a shutout. If anything, their offense may score every single possession, and USC may score on every single possession but 3 or 4, and that's what might decide the game. You see, Caleb Williams is just too good of a quarterback for you just to overlook and say, yeah, they're going to get blown out. USC has talent at wide receiver, running back. Their offensive line hasn't been great, but I don't think it's bad enough where Oregon's just going to outclass them up front with the same way that they did Colorado. And who is Oregon's best win? They lost to Washington. Their defense didn't really have a lot of big stops in that game. At least not when it mattered the most, because Washington still went down and scored and won the game. Meanwhile, you look at what their defense did against Colorado and Utah, your defense played well against lackluster offenses. But let's see what Oregon's defense does against one of the better offenses in all of college football, led by the most talented quarterback in the nation right now. Caleb Williams, as long as he plays his A game and he doesn't have a performance that he had against Notre Dame and he can pick up from where he left off last week, I don't see this game being a blowout. Oregon is a really good team, but they don't have to blow out USC to be regarded as one of the top teams in college football. I don't think that's kind of their style. Their style is their defense can get a good amount of stops, more stops than Washington's defense, and they can outscore you. But at the end of the day, the kind of team that Oregon has is based on being able to outscore everybody that they play. Their defense is solid, but I don't see their defense shutting down this USC offense. Lincoln Riley is too good of a play caller. Caleb Williams is too good of a quarterback. And the personnel that he has around him is too good to get shut down by this Oregon defense. Now, if this was Alabama's defense or Georgia's defense, then I would feel differently. But I truly would be incredibly shocked if USC just got blown out in this game and they didn't belong on the same field with Oregon. This is an offense that can go toe-to-toe with anybody as long as you got Caleb Williams at the helm and you can give him a little bit of protection. I'm taking Oregon to win, though. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go with any crazy upset because, first of all, it's really hard to win at Autzen Stadium. I can't remember the last time Oregon lost a home game in this stadium. They got one of the best home field advantages in all of college football. Plus, USC, even though they fire Alex Grinch, and even if he is as bad as a DC where the next interim guy comes in and he looks a little bit more competent than him, I still don't think it's going to matter all that much because at the end of the day, USC under Lincoln Riley, a lot of people say this defense, it's an attitude problem with it. It's not just a coaching and X's and O's thing. This defense just doesn't have the kind of attitude that you need to be a championship caliber defense. And I don't think that this defense is going to have enough in them to be able to get crucial stops in this game when it matters the most to get the ball back to Oregon. I know that Oregon's defense can get some stops. I don't know if USC can even get a stop or two. Give me Oregon to win. 48-35 is my final score prediction for this game.